Deflate-Gate.
Deflate-Gate.
Explain
Well, you know what I do.
Saw.
Yeah. Well, let's explain.
No,
I know what you do.
Yeah, because
explain.
Maybe you should start with that,
Okay,
or let me try to
so
explain
he
that.
is part of the uniform police. Is that the best way to look at it?
The
or?
uniform inspector for the
Uniform
National Football
inspector.
League.
League.
He will
not
be
the Patriots. Just for the whole
For
league.
the league. So
Right.
I'm in the officials' room. I'm an NFL official, so I got credentials, and that's where I always report, where I put down my bags, where I hang before the game, halftime, and after the game. And I've been doing the uniform inspection job for 18 seasons now.
Wow.
So I've been able to see a lot of different things, but what I was able to incur and see last night was the whole scenario right at halftime.
All right. So at halftime.
At halftime.
So what happened at halftime? There's a great journalistic question.
Well, the one of the game officials was looking for the guy that's in charge of the balls. And I happen to know him. I've known him for a long, long time, and he comes in soon after halftime had ended with the big two bags. But then there was one ball that was in question. And now, I'm not just talking with the referees. There's numerous other game officials from the league office that are there.
Yeah, okay.
And there was one ball that they had in question, and it was starting to get kind of a heated discussion in there, and that's when I was actually asked to leave the officials' room.
Really?
So at that point, you knew something
Called
was really
scoop,
going
ladies and
on.
gentlemen. Go ahead,
This is
Jim.
interesting.
I wanna hear
All
this.
right,
This is
yeah.
And so then I just went to the next room, which is where the chain crew hang out. And both rooms have food, and so I was.
Did you have a little
good.
cup up to the wall or anything like that?
I was good and was back out on the field right at the start of the third quarter when everybody else went out.
Okay, keep going.
And it
They
was
switched out a ball at one point. That it was everybody's like, "What's going on with
well,
that?"
I knew there was a ball issue, but I really did not know what it was, because a lot of times it could be the kicking ball,
right.
or the game day
Right.
balls.
Some are rubbed up, some are not. That's what they were talking about. And
I can explain the rub down things where they're all brand new balls, and each team has a representative in the chain crew's bathroom. They scrub those balls before each and every game. Each
So
team
the Colts
has
have
a
somebody?
representative. They have an equipment boy,
Okay.
has a ball boy, and they're in there scrubbing down the balls. They wet them down, and they work them as much as they can to break them in as quick as possible. And then those balls go to an official. And you notice on the sidelines, there's always an official that tosses in
the ball
for the offense, or a ball to kick a field goal, an extra point, or a punt.
Kickoff,
And the kicking balls have K's on them.
Right.
The regular balls have.
And there's usually a guy with a K.
What's
on
the
his
difference in the
jersey.
balls? Because most people don't know.
Nothing.
Question, Jimmy. Most people don't know that.
One
there's no
just has
difference.
a
That's
K
why I'm
on it.
asking
One
this.
just
One
has
has
a
a K on
a
it,
big
one
K
doesn't.
on it,
Right.
correct? Okay.
But they just like to separate them because of what the Tony Romo situation numerous years ago, when those brand new shiny balls. Remember when he was
Yeah,
trying to
missed the
get
extra
right.
point.
Now they
Against
separate
Seattle,
the balls.
wasn't it? In fact.
It was a playoff game.
Yeah,
It was a
playoff game. Muffed
They
it.
ended
Yeah.
up losing. But anyways, getting back to the story, as soon as I got on the field back in the second half, that's when the officials from the league came onto the field. Remember, I guess that there was a little delay in the start of
Yes.
Yes, because
Yes,
they
they
came out of
were.
commercial.
They came out of a commercial.
Came
They're
out of
sitting there
commercial,
waiting,
and
like,
everybody
what's
was
going on?
sitting, and waiting, and then the announcers
that's
tried to say, well, there's
when-
something going on.
One of the league officials came out with the ball that was in question. They went quickly and grabbed the Patriots equipment manager, Dave, and there was some heated discussions going on. But at that point, I still really didn't know what the situation was with the ball, other than there was a ball in question. I know
One
that
ball.
ball was photographed.
So this is one ball.
One ball.
Out
That
of
is
how
correct.
many balls?
I think 12 in
Probably
each bag.
12 on each bag, right?
So that would be 24.
24 balls. Okay,
Total
but hold on. This is important, Jimmy. Jim, I'm looking at this scenario as such. I saw the delay because I'm on my way to get back here, and I'm watching it. I'm saying, well, something's going on. I knew something was going on.
There was something going
I
on.
could see heated discussions going back and forth from the sideline to the field, and then I saw the ball. Then I saw another ball thrown out. I said, okay, well, something's going on. And then the announcers are flummoxed because they have no idea what the hell's going on. And the game is being held. Then the fans started getting agitated, and then the ball comes on. But I would like to ask this. You said 2 sets of balls. Now, do the Colts play with a separate ball from the Patriots? So the Patriots have 12 balls, and they have 12 balls. So when Andrew Luck and them are on the field, they only use the balls they rubbed up. And the Patriots only use the balls that they rubbed up. See, most people don't know this. Most people don't know this, though, Jim. They just think everybody's using the same ball. Then it's not the case. Okay.
No, because each sideline on each side of the field
Have balls.
has Patriots ball boys, Colts ball boys.
Gotcha.
So if it's closer for the referee where the play went out of bounds to toss in a new ball on the Pat sideline, one of the Colts ball boys will toss in a ball that's been chosen. And if you notice, each ball boy will carry at least 1 to 2, maybe even three balls. And last night, because of the rain coming down, they were all in plastic bags, just to protect them and try to keep them dry. They got towels in there. So whenever they're trying to toss on a new ball onto the field, it's usually try to be a dry ball.
Right.
But there's definitely separated balls between the offense and or kicking balls, but they're basically the same balls.
That's where I'm going with this.
Okay.
I know that you like that controversy, and you think that
I don't like any controversy.
Excuse me.
I'm interested in things.
Fair enough.
I'm interested in
All right.
knowledge of knowing this.
I know, and that's where I'm going with this.
This is the beauty of having somebody sitting here that knows what they're talking about. Because
I
the average person
understand that.
sitting there watching TV didn't have a damn clue
Nope.
as to what was
They
going
did
on.
not.
The only thing the announcers did say again was they rub up the balls. There's
They
some
do.
that
Who
come
rubs
in-
up the balls?
That would be a member of the equipment staff,
Yeah,
Why?
equipment manager.
because they're all brand new balls that are sent to each game.
Why can't the game officials rub up balls? Just like baseball, the umpires rub
It's
up
a
balls.
TD process. Those guys are in there, they literally break a sweat when they're doing that.
Okay, I got you.
There are 4 issued small little brushes. And with that, they're scrubbing, and I mean, they're scrubbing, and they take a wet towel and they soak that ball, and then they rub it down some more, because a brand new football right out of the
slippery as hell.
factory,
I know.
very slippery.
Right, and then the kickers only are allowed to kick brand new balls. I believe they're not able to rub them up.
Nope.
Correct? So those are the two different
And there's
types.
always an NFL official overseeing the equipment manager or the equipment boys.
Oh, while they're doing it?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right,
Good.
so
Okay.
again,
Okay.
what difference does it make? Whether these things are a little underinflated or not? I mean, we're talking about very subtle. We're talking about maybe less than 1%. Yes, no?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the PSI is of
Yeah.
the balls. I've heard that earlier today, whatever, 13.1 or whatever.
0.3, I think it is 13.
But you know what? You know, the last couple of home games, not only for the Pats, but the Colts out in Denver, I mean, you're playing under frigid temperatures.
That's right.
And balls under cold temperatures are not going to deflate it up. I mean, it was 50-some degrees last
It was
night.
nice.
There
That's
might have
right.
been an opportunity, you know, just weather-related that would make a ball feel a little inflated.
Which gives the quarterback an opportunity to squeeze it better. I'm trying, Mr. Quarterback. Did you ever squeeze any underinflated balls? That's what I'm going with here. There's a big line. There's a line in here somewhere.
Actually, don't. Yeah,
Don't get them going on that.
No, I just set them
I
up.
tell you.
I love how Mike. Okay, good. Go ahead, Adam Ball. Fire away. Let him have it.
Nobody should have underflated balls.
No, that's a
I hate when that
prerequisite.
happens.
You know, it's awkward.
I knew we were
It's
going
awkward.
there.
It's awkward.
I knew we were
See,
going
it
there.
all
Ladies
comes
and
full
gentlemen,
circle.
This is a family-related show. Okay, that's all we're going to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're a family-related show. That's right. We're the Family Guy. That's what we
Right.
do.
Thank you.
But no, to me, I understand the whole thing with the gripping of the ball, and I understand what Jim's saying, that the ball has to be rubbed down and wet, and then it kind of, because when you do touch a brand new ball, it's got that slick, plasticky feel to it, which we all know. Jim was telling me on the ride over here, and yeah, I'm an avid sports fan for all sports. I know the baseball players, they scuff up baseballs
Right.
to break them in, but I did not know that each team would have their own ball rubber, if you will, a
Yes.
guy who preps the balls.
Professional
To me,
ball rubber.
why couldn't the league do
All right,
this?
somebody that spent over 4 decades in sports. I've been in damn near every single
know.
official's room.
Sure.
In hockey, the pucks have to be kept at a certain temperature.
Sure.
You
They're
can't
frozen.
heat
Do
them,
that,
right?
yeah.
You can't do certain
Sure.
things. Okay, I've been in this room to watch this, and I videoed this. Okay, basketball. I bet you don't even know. The balls are taken off the game rack. There is no special game ball that comes in. They hand the ball to the point guard of the one team. They hand it to the point guard of the other team and says, "Is this okay?"
Yep.
Both officials walk. 3 officials down.
Sure.
They walk out and say, "Mike, you got it. Touch it. Jim, you got it. How do you feel about it? No, you don't want it? Okay, whip that one out." Now you have 12 balls on the rack. You're going to find one. But I try to tell people, because I'm an inventor, and I've just invented a tool that can help with this, and I try to explain this to the NBA, they don't get it yet. Once a ball has been played with, and it sits in a metal rack, Rubber is malleable. It's going to form into the wherever it sits. If you put it up against a wall, if you put it in a car, if you do whatever, if you do, excuse me, I have a patent on my invention.
We know, Jimmy. We're not doubting your invention.
You got to be smart to
pending.
understand this.
No, he's got a full patent. He's got a patent.
And somebody will be smart enough to come forward and say, look, we need to market this. But anyway,
Shark Tank.
Okay.
Shark Tank.
No. They're not getting 50% of my genius. Thank you. But to make a long story short, okay, that's basketball. Then you go to baseball. Just told you about umpires rubbing up balls. Now, finally, I have somebody from the NFL that can tell me there's an official sitting there watching to make sure that the balls are rubbed down properly. Yeah. I'm sure that official probably feels the balls, and he's probably saying, okay, this one's okay. Now I'm wondering, how do you get a weird ball in there? And why does it take so long to just say, whip that one out, let's get another ball, this ball is underinflated, and you immediately, Jim, eliminate the controversy. You get rid of it. This is where the NFL falls short to me and all the dumb stuff that they do. This should not have become an issue.
Correct.
You whip the ball away, say, look, here, take this one. We got 11 more. And we're not coming back to that ball. Brady played with that ball during a couple of scoring drives. And so it brings up all this dumb stuff that goes through players' heads. I was a player, so I know. Oh, yeah, no,
what
he didn't.
What if it honestly was a defect? A faulty ball?
Could be.
Nobody's even talked about that.
Jim,
absolutely.
you said
what if there was a slow leak?
You made the best point,
right,
Jim.
slow leak.
There was
You
a slow
made the
leak?
best point. In Denver, it was cold. It's always cold.
Against Baltimore.
Against Baltimore, it was cold. Against Baltimore, it was cold.
Could be a faulty ball.
How are you going to say the ball is going to stay the perfect model for a whole game? You're tackling it. It's knocked on the ground. It's hitting. It's bouncing off the turf. It's just too many elements for me for something like this to come into this now. But Jim, I want to go a little bit further with you because there was an incident that occurred in a Seattle game that I was covering, and this I loved because you're a uniform guy, and Marshawn Lynch, the running back,
know all about this
who is
one.
a
Go
piece
ahead.
of work, who is a piece of work within himself. Marshawn Lynch decided he wanted to wear gold shoes yesterday.
Yes,
in the
well,
game.
the NFL did not like that.
$1,000 pair of shoes.
Yeah, $1,000
$500 a piece.
A piece
Per shoe.
Per shoe.
So
And
$1,000.
the league said, no. You cannot wear that because it's not part of your standard uniform.
Nope.
So he wore with the gold bottoms on them. They painted the tops to the green of Seattle, right? Now, Jim, it is said that he would have been fined if he wore the shoes. He would have been suspended from the Super Bowl.
I thought it was the game.
Nope.
They weren't going to let him play in the
you gotta
game.
read the story. I was there. He would have been suspended. He would have been fined. He would have been suspended for the Super Bowl if he wore those shoes.
You want to know what was
Is
going to
that a
happen to
fact?
him?
What was going to happen to him?
Jim?
My boss from the league office had to call the general manager of the Seahawks and inform him, and this is what proper protocol is that Marshawn Lynch at the start of the game wouldn't have been able to take the field until he changed his shoes, and they were going to assess a 5-yard penalty against Seattle and also cost them a timeout to start the game.
Could you imagine announcing that to that hostile crowd? 5 yards, and they will lose a
And it
timeout
was
because
high
of
drama
his shoes.
because the league was notified that these shoes arrived in his locker a couple of days prior, and he was adamant that he was going to wear these shoes up until just before kickoff. And
So
then
the
he
league-
finally made the decision that to put on league-approved shoes.
Okay,
and
let's say
not-
he wears them, and they lose the 5 yards, and they take the timeout.
No,
he still would have been fined, correct?
$100,000.
And then they talked about him not being able to play in the
He would have been allowed on the
Bowl.
field until he changed his shoes. Just
Now,
that game.
what people fail to understand is this. The league is not out of line with this for one reason. In your contract, it talks about your uniform. It talks about the standard protocol for what uniforms are supposed to be. You signed it, Marshawn. Sorry. And if you don't want to play, if you want to have whatever kind of shoes and you want to violate that, you're going to pay the price.
See, he took it to a whole different level when it comes to shoes, but that is the protocol. See, we as uniform inspectors, the 32 of us that do this job for the league, have had the authority to get a player off the field only the last 2 years based on thigh pads and knee pads being mandatory now for players. So if I notice a player
Only
that's,
2 years? The last 2 years you only had
that
this?
knee pads and thigh pads being mandatory.
Okay.
And having the authority to have a player leave the field until he puts in his knee pads or thigh pads. I've had one instance, and it happened this year with Brandon Marshall, the Chicago Bear wide receiver. Yeah,
Have you been doing this longer than anybody? I know. I'll ask about Brandon Marshall. Are you doing this longer than anybody else in the league?
No, the program has been in existence 19 years. I did not do it the very first season.
But is there others out there that have more?
Done for the 19 years.
They have 19. Okay, keep going.
What made you
Now
get
tell us
into
about
it?
Brandon Marshall.
What made you want to do it?
I just got asked to do it, honestly.
Why do you think you got asked?
It's another story, but I guess we got a lot of time here.
We got plenty of time.
We have
Go
no
for it.
commercial break.
Well, no
Why do you think
commercial
you were
break.
asked?
Commercial
Why do
break.
you think you were asked, Jim?
I was. Garen Barris did it the very first year.
I know Garen. He's at UMass Boston.
Yes,
now.
he is
Boston,
now.
yep.
And Garen didn't want to do it the next year. He was completing his final season of BC Law School, wanted to concentrate on his studies, and then was moving back to Stanford. So at that point, an old teammate of mine, Ed Reynolds, was the very first uniform inspector who was in charge of all of us. And at that point in my life, Jimmy may or may not remember, my oldest daughter had leukemia twice
Brielle?
growing up.
Is that Brielle?
Yep.
Yes.
And the second time, she had relapsed. And Mr. Kraft actually thought it would be a good idea for me if, take my mind off things, a little financial reward for doing the job too. So he had contacted Donnie Brosher, the late Donnie Brosher, the equipment manager prior to the one we've got now down there. But I got a call literally out of the blue one day from Ed Reynolds asking if I'd be interested in doing the job. And I said, Ed, let me get this straight. You want me to work home games, walk the field, look for players with socks out or socks down, jerseys out, and you want me to report that back to the league for,
And I was
money?
hey, Mike, and I was a former player. You want me ratting out players on that?
Sure.
I can see you. So
But
you feel long and hard about this,
I've
right?
been doing this for 18 years. I still look at it as the greatest part-time job ever created. I mean, if you think about it, to have credentials that allow you to be down on the field as players are coming out for pregame warm-ups and just watching both sides, both teams, and looking, observing, writing something down on a little sheet of paper that kind of looks like something like that. That's basically your top
Wow, let's take a look at this.
Where else would you get this,
And,
ladies and gentlemen, on any sports show in the United States? In fact, oh my goodness, look at this book. I won't name it.
That's my top secret information.
I would not do that. I would
office
not
today.
do that. I would not do that.
Nice chicken.
There's a couple
Am
of
I on
guys from
that
the Colts.
list? Are
No,
you on
you
that
didn't make the list. But anyway,
Brady will boxes.
Now, here, put this away.
Now, wait a
because
second.
the longer you let
Jimmy.
him go, Jim, the more dangerous
I will
he's
say
gonna
this.
become
Wait a
with
second.
that,
I will
okay?
say
I'll
this.
put
When you and I
on
talked last
You're
week,
not touching this.
Brady
There
was
was
going to
a
wear
photo.
Uggs before the game
it
started
was the
too.
Ravens game, wasn't it? The Gronkowski got. So Gronkowski was showing
yeah.
rear end crack.
Yeah, his butt crack was showing.
All right, his butt crack was showing. There's a fine here, isn't
No,
there?
no.
See, you can show
Well,
the butt
I mean,
crack,
Did you
but
make him
been-
change? Did you make him?
No, I'm not touching that.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I'm not touching that.
You guys know it's all about the base. It's about the base.
The only thing the league would have issues with is whatever
It's all
sort of
about the
underwear he
base.
was wearing.
Yeah.
Because that's just free advertising
ball.
for
Baseballs.
whatever the pair of
Fruit of the
runnies
Loom.
he had on.
Hold on. Converse,
Stop right now. I want to hear this because I get on
we
all
had
the
that
young
photo. Did you
guys
find that
I
photo?
work with.
Gronkowski?
All these young people that I work with, a
Showing
lot
butt
of young
crack.
people,
Gronkowski.
about wearing their
Search it.
pants a certain length, Mike. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They wear their pants way down here, and you see the
Oh, I
underwear.
hate that.
So no. So now, if all the brothers decide in the league, Gronkowski can get away with it. Let's start pulling their stuff down and being freak on the field. What's going to happen then, Mr. Uniform Cop? Then you got to stop somebody then.
Why
you
don't-
got to stop him, Jim.
Why don't we
Because if you
bring
let
in?
him go-
Let's bring in the boss, Mr. Kraft. You know, I'm excited that we're gonna be going to Arizona and playing. And Jim has been doing a great job, and it's an open bar here tonight, so we're excited about that. And I love chicken
Absolutely.
wings, and I'm all about the base. And deflated balls, but it's a good thing
So
that
how far, Jim?
we're moving
How
on.
far are you going to let him go?
We're all patriots.
What if all pages? What
You're
if
trying to make
what
it
if the
so
brothers?
it's not gonna
What if the
happen.
brothers come out? And they decide to go freak downtown ghetto city, and we're gonna lower our stuff like Gronkowski has.
Well, you
his.
know what? That's not going to happen. Not on my shift.
That's right.
Okay. Now you will
Because
you
the
will
jersey
touch that.
should be
In other
tucked
words,
in at all times.
Oh, but
All right?
Gronkowski's is not. We're seeing butt crack.
Well, you know what?
That's because he got the pain.
That was a tackle.
That was a tackle.
That was a tackle. He was being brought down. from behind.
Occupational hazard.
As you know, you can't tackle Gronkowski
Keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen. This way come up again. Go ahead.
He's healthy in the Super Bowl. That's all I care
I
about.
love to take it in that.
The underwear manufacturer got some free publicity.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
There was no underwear.
No, he had something on. He's not wearing the exact things that
Was
guys
not
in my
commando.
era.
No
We're not
Commando,
commando.
right?
No,
We won't
no,
get offended.
no, absolutely not. Not on something like that, because I mean that's an accidental sort of
Yeah.
thing.
He's
and
been
the
all
pants
over.
went back up.
He's
But
been all
there
over
was
the
a Facebook shot or YouTube shot.
Yeah,
There's a
oh
little
no,
butt crack sort of thing
absolutely saw that online.
not that I look for stuff like that, but it did get shown to me.
I'm sure.
So
Yeah,
will
You've
the
got
league
sources now.
contact you on something like that?
Not
No?
on something like that. Absolutely not. No, indifferent.
All right.
They're going to get lower and lower.
No.
So as I
I
said,
know players and how crazy they get. We're going to try this.
this darn inflatable gate thing is just
Sad.
sad.
Yeah.
And it just, why do they let them win the way they win on the field? Let them win on the field.
Well,
this game was
You could
determined
play with a
on
rugby
the
ball last night, and the
That's
Colts
right.
weren't going to
That's
win.
What was
That's
more
so
embarrassing was Jim Harbaugh didn't understand, couldn't figure it out, so he had to say deceptive. Well, I think there's been a lot of deception over the years because when I call a play in, I go like this. Well, if everybody's being honest, then why are you going like this? It's that simple.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
Let's go back to Marshall Faulk. He still thinks the Patriots spied on the Super Bowl.
Right.
Okay?
Of course.
They're all on the sidelines doing this. Why is
I think
that?
we better be real careful when we go down that road with me because I've interviewed several hundred NFL players, and it wasn't just that game. There's other games that have been in question, and they're gonna throw this at you. If they weren't, then why did they get caught, and why were they fined? Simple as that.
Because they were told a week before
And
that they couldn't do
Then
it.
answer my question. Why is every coach doing this on the sideline? Because
Mike,
somebody is
I
upstairs in a
totally-
booth with binoculars
Mike, I totally agree
watching the
with you.
play
But
being
I'm
called.
I'm telling you
everything's being
what's
recorded.
sitting on the books and there. You can't erase that now. And all of a sudden, you took these files and they got hidden away like the Watergate papers or like the Warren report. We can't see them. We don't know what's going on. We don't know how this whole thing came about. And all that information is sitting in a safe in NFL headquarters. And that's what infuriates journalists like me, investigative reporters, people who want to know. So it'll keep coming up. Believe me, it's going to keep coming up. Back to you, because this is more important to
Until
me.
February 1st, when it's all put to bed.
That's
right.
true.
Take the
Jim,
pats and the
And
points.
isn't that why it's so important for them to win this game, to get that darn thing off their back?
In
because
today's free
you guys hear
agency,
it.
and salary cap, this is the great. I'm not being a homer.
Say it.
I'm being
I
I'm being a
agree
realist. I'm
100%
being a
with you.
sports fan. This is the greatest coach in the modern day era with salary caps and free agency to continuously bring players in that can work their system, take
Right.
people out of a heat pile, and put them in a Corey Dillon, bad player. Just wanted his ring, and he got it. He
Terrell
brings players
Reeves
in.
is gonna
They're
get a
2
ring.
plays away
Like
from winning
Gary-
2 more Super Bowls.
How's Pittsburgh
2
feel
plays
today,
away.
by the way? How's Pittsburgh feel? That guy
That's the one
Blunt's
that got away.
Pretty good, huh?
We don't want him.
Can you believe that?
No.
The way he was juking yesterday?
Gentlemen, you better know the story. Be careful.
Okay.
You're sitting with a journalist. This man walked off the field.
Yes, he did.
gets no
Yes, he
points for me for that. Ladies and
understand.
gentlemen, he is lucky to be in this league.
Nope.
And I don't care
Lucky to
about
play for
I
the
don't
Patriots,
care I
too.
don't care if you picked him up or whatever. His butt could have been suspended for the rest of the year for the stunt he pulled in that locker room that night, and then how he walked away, no team playing and walked away. You don't do stuff like that. So I'm not giving LeGarrette Blount any credit for anything. He is blessed to be in this position where he is.
You know
See,
what? I'd rather have him walk off the field than commit any kind of domestic violence, to commit any kind of crime that these guys are doing on a regular basis. If he's going to walk off the field,
Jimmy.
that's okay.
Jimmy.
It is.
No, it's
he
not,
doesn't, because
Jimmy.
he's not going to play, and
No,
it's his right. He doesn't want
it's
to
not,
fight. You don't
Jimmy.
have a right. You
It's
can
not,
walk off the
Jimmy.
set, Jimmy
Jimmy,
Myers,
that's true.
and you've done it. You
Jimmy.
have that right.
Yes, Jimmy, but the difference is this. You're under contract to a team. You are out there with these guys. You're supposed to be
Jimmy.
there with your but what?
Were you under contract
No, I was done.
when you
Excuse
walked
me.
up?
Excuse me, I was done.
So you were working without a contract.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Now,
and you were
wanna
working
get
on
all
a
the
team.
facts?
No.
You wanna get all
You're
the
working
facts?
on a team.
We
No, I'm just trying to make an
wanna go back
analogy.
to December
Trying to make
2nd,
a comparison.
1979. He doesn't want to go back there.
No,
Great
no.
Steelers?
No,
No.
greatest on-air resignation
He walked
in the
off
history of
the set.
TV.
And
But
what's
all
that?
said, all
Never
of
saw
said,
that?
No, tell
all
me.
that said-
For who?
Tell him.
Tell me.
the story,
Channel
Jimmy.
4.
Channel 4?
Yeah. I was the weekday
With
anchor.
Lobel and Newmeyer?
No,
No,
way
before them.
before them.
And
Way
what were you
before them.
covering?
Had the highest numbers in the city,
was
and they would
weekend
not give me
sports
the
guy.
5-day week job. man.
What were you
Understand?
covering?
I covered everything, sports.
Sports.
Yeah.
He was a weekend sports guy.
I'm the last guy in this town to do 9 minutes of sports.
And a half
on a
hour.
Sunday night, and a half an hour newscast. And was told after working there for 7 years that I was not going to advance to the #1 position. When I decided to leave, okay, well, we'll allow you to leave. While at the same time, and this is fact, ladies and gentlemen, this is a conjecture, I'm looking right at you when I say this, then I find out around the country that my name is being blacklisted, to which it still is to this day to a degree, for standing up for things that I believe in. So you can say what you want about contract and so forth. Marshawn Lynch did not, LeGarrette Blount did not do the right thing. And remember, he's playing for a guy in Mike Tomlin that has respect straight across this league.
Yes.
To pull the stunt that he pulled. And remember, you're not talking about some angel. You're talking about a guy with a history of this foolishness from college when he punched the guy on the field to getting in several fights on teams to having problems everywhere he's been. He came here, had a great season, decided I'm leaving. So he leaves. They let him go. Now, all of a sudden, he's out the door. Okay, we need a running back. We bring him back. So it's going to be hard for you to explain to me about this very immature, very imbalanced brain person sometimes because he creates his own problems.
Well, as you know, many athletes are temperamental. But wouldn't you also think that Mike Tomlin, just like in Nomar in 04, he was a cancer in the clubhouse.
Yes, he was.
And they had to get rid of him.
That's correct.
So, contract or no contract, we want you just to get out of here to get our harmony. And we
Sometimes
all know
it's
what
that-
happened there. So sometimes you have to cut your losses.
Mike, you know, this is
just
the
move
best.
on.
This is the best part about sitting and talking to guys like you because I go in those locker rooms and I talk to these guys and I know.
Sure.
See, nobody's going to tell me what I don't know.
Sure.
Because I'll give you two better examples. Percy Harvin. How much better do you think this team that the Patriots would be facing if they had to face Percy Harvin on that field with Seattle?
Sure.
Percy Harvin talked his way out of Seattle. Sure. You got it? Percy Harvin said, hey, I'm bigger than this, and so forth.
And
So
Pete
Russell
Carroll
Wilson, Russell Wilson, you're not throwing me the ball. This is what it comes down
Sure.
to. Now, you have a situation right now that very few people want to discuss, but it's been dangled out there because I first put it out there. Marshawn Lynch may not be with this team after the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Because it's caused so many problems for this team that, and remember, this is a super running back. But it reaches a point, Mike, where you can't let him destroy what's going on.
I said the gym on the way here, just casually talking, just talking sports. I said, we've all known Marshall Lynch, what he's doing. Marshawn Lynch, excuse me. Okay. I call him Marsha. How's that? Because he's a whiny. Maybe he should just take away what his privilege is, which is to play sports. Okay, he doesn't want to interview the media now. He's doing just enough.
Right.
He's doing just enough. Yes, no, yes, no.
And you
now he
could say
doesn't want
the
to
same
conform.
thing about LeGarrette Blount.
You absolutely
He walked
could.
away, leave his butt out there. Let him realize that he's not going to make these kind of checks, that he's not going to have this type of platform to do his thing. And you watch how fast some of these guys would come along. Jim,
He abandoned his team. He abandoned his team.
Exactly. You remember how difficult it was when you played. If a player had a poor, and Jim, you had some characters on those teams. I covered them. But there was a certain line you did not cross, Jim, because you hurt the team when you did that.
And I was fearful for a job. I would never walk off
That's
of
right.
field.
That's the other
Even
thing.
back in the late 80s, I thought making what I was making back then was great,
Right.
let alone making millions and millions
Right.
of dollars. Now to have an attitude to walk off the field because you don't feel like your playing time was what it should have
Well,
been.
he obviously believes in his ability, and he
well,
obviously believes that he
It's
can
not a
help
qu-
the team.
It's not his
It's
ability.
not a question, Jim.
his
See,
attitude.
Jimmy.
I
see, Jimmy,
understand
because
his
he's
attitude,
playing- because
but
he's playing for the
Belichick's going to do
Patriots.
whatever he needs to do to make his team better, including taking a bad apple if he has to.
What happened to the famous?
Yeah.
What happened to the famous Patriot
no.
way? We have this Patriot way
Patriot way
that's
is-
been so
hang on a
that's been
second.
so destroyed.
Hang
Don't
on.
even go. Don't go.
It
Don't
isn't
go.
about the morality thing of the
Don't go.
Patriots way as
Not a
much as
question
it
of that.
is next man up. In other words, do your job. That's
Yeah,
the
that's
new
do
Patriot
your
way.
job.
Okay? If you go down, the next guy has to step up. That's more.
That's not do your job towel.
No,
I
it's
missed
not.
that
But there is one.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There is one.
But the
Right.
bottom line, what I'm trying to tell you guys is that there is so much dysfunction within this league, Mike. So many guys that are on the border's edge. You know what I'm sitting here thinking? Tonight, with you two guys, I'll tell you the truth. What the hell is going to happen between now and the Super Bowl that's going to...
I said by Thursday.
Somebody does something.
Absolutely.
You got 2 whole
There's some
weeks
good
to
sound
keep
bites,
these
I'm
guys.
sure,
Right.
coming from
Somebody's coming out with doing something crazy, and you can be saying to yourself, okay, here we go. Now,